Someone's actually burning wood. For grilling? Or are they prepping their chimneys for this weekend's cold front? Oh, did they? Yeah. Somebody's house could be on fire. Bottom line is this already tough enough to breathe out here. Some idiot sitting there burning something. I just get tired of it, man. You out in the country somewhere, you can go ahead and do that shit. It's an acre between you and your neighbors. Yeah, burn all the stuff you want. When you're in a city where your nearest neighbor is a couple feet away, all I know is I'm ready for summer to be over. It's funny how 92 degrees can feel cold. Yeah, I'm tired and ranting. Getting the bathroom worked on. 2 days into it. Between the noise of construction, the smells of the chemicals and primers being put on walls, and then just trying to figure out how to clean myself without a sink with running water. I bought a little portable changing room, and I got a little solar shower thing, and I tried it yesterday with mixed results. I got clean, that was the cool thing, but the only thing about a solar shower is you got to hang the bag above you. And I'm sitting there trying to bathe in that thing, and I'm having to bend over and knuckle under, and I thought I could rinse off from a seated position. I was trying to use the tent indoors. It worked pretty well. I put a little kiddie pool down there and used that as my base. And it was working out. I only got the carpet a little wet in spots. Nothing that I couldn't clean it without a towel. But I guess I'm gonna try to. I just ran out of time. Tried to take a shower at 24-hour fitness, but what was pissing me off is they got this homeless dude. He's going in there washing his clothes in the stalls. shower stalls, and then he's sleeping in the locker room. And you can't say nothing to the guy at the front desk because I didn't know that some of those guys are homeless too. I ain't paying those guys hardly anything. So then it starts to make me, I wish I could just find a real gym. But I was saying I'd be willing to pay $50 to $100 a month for a 24-hour gym where I didn't have CrossFitters coming in there, or these kids who sit there and grab they're doing some kind of weird plyometric fat exercises. And they got the barbell or the dumbbells all scattered about the entire gym. You got to sit there and do an Easter egg hunt for the stuff. Get tired of cleaning up after. People who like not just gym etiquette, but any etiquette in general. That's what I get at a commercial gym where I'm paying a little bit over $30 a month. I imagine it's much worse at Fitness Connection. Look at that place, it stays packed. Membership is $10.99 a month. To compete with 24-hour fitness, they also try to stay open 24/7 depending on the location. Well, at least I'm not smelling the smoke anymore. And so that's how you can tell you're in a high-class 24-hour fitness versus where I go. The high-class ones don't do 24, aren't open 24 hours. They close at like 11 or midnight because they don't want everybody and their brother coming up in there and being in their neighborhood. The Mockingbird one closes at like midnight. The Coit and Campbell one I think closes at midnight. I'm curious to see what the other ones are going to start doing as they move up further up north. I wonder if the one in Louisville is 24/7. Yeah, my gripe about 24-hour fitness is they let anybody and everybody should go up in there. I was paying $50 a month at the YMCA, but that place was always crowded with families. A lot of people weren't paying monthly fees there. It was like some people were working for it. I hated that place. They didn't have the right workout equipment, and then when they did have the right workout equipment, you're competing with some dude. Some dude got off of work. He wants to know when you're going to be done with the, hey man, you gonna be done with the Smith machine anytime soon? I was like, why? So you can do decline bench over here? One time I tried to do decline bench, and the guy said, hey, I want to do sit-ups with the thing. When are you going to be done with it? I was like, so between that and the old guys, there was constantly, like the old guys, that's all they did was come in there and sit in the jacuzzi for hours, literally boiling themselves alive. Be like 5 or 10 guys in there, they looking at you. Oh, there's always room for one more, young fella. I was like, no, that's all right, man. I'm good. I don't even use the wet areas and the saunas of the clubs I go to. That reminds me of the time I went to Bally's down the street, back when I got a membership with it. Opened the door of that steam room, and that thing was just packed. I had a dumbfounded look on my face, and the guy grabs the door and he slams it shut, and I was like, oh boy. That was a raggedy gym in a raggedy area. I told the dude, I said, I can't. I told the dude at the front desk, I can't stay here, man. He said, why not? I said, well, he says, no, I get it. And then Bally's left. And then even a more raggedy company came in there and started offering like $10 a month memberships. And after that, it was like gone after a month. That was the one off of Webb Chapel Extension, or Webb Chapel. They tore it down. And they keep trying to revitalize the area, but they just can't seem to get anybody, I guess, to come over there. I don't know if the rents are too high, or they don't like the demographics of the neighborhood, or what. It shocked me when they put the Walmart up there. I'm pretty sure that the people who put that Walmart there are kind of having some buyer's remorse. They moved the Sam's Club from way over there off of, I think it was off Northwest, end of Northwest Highway. So they moved it up to where I'm at, off of West Chapel. They seem to do a pretty brisk business, though. Yeah, I have a feeling that. I remember there was one gym off of, I think it's Alpha Road. And Alpha and, what was that street? Midway? Alpha and Midway. And this was like an exclusive club. Only people who made a certain amount of money could go in there. And I'm pretty sure it was like $1,000 membership, annual memberships or something like that. Insanely high. Might have been $100 a month. Oh, it might have been more than that, $150 a month or something. I'm reading stories about LA Fitness costing people $100 a month. And it ain't 24/7. And yet, it's still as expensive as it is, it stays packed. Brother tells me about some of the characters that come up in there. The dude that grabs he hangs out where the dumbbell pit, flexing in front of the mirror, grabbing the weights every once in a while, making some noise, doing some stupid lifts, and then leaving. I saw one dude doing some kind of weird inverted leg press with a curl bar. I was like, boy, I'm just waiting for that thing to roll off his feet. He was putting it on the soles of his feet and coming down and up. You see these guys, man, and you just laugh your ass off. But 24-hour fitness has spoiled me. I probably just become a disgusting fat body before I even think about going into a commercial gym at around 5 o'clock, 5 to 7. Somebody told me, yeah, that's the only time you're going to have to work out. I'd be like, you know what? Guess I just won't be working out. Or I'll start learning to it would mean a new job, which means I would probably just move out, set up a home gym. I got enough money to do that now. I just don't have the space. And I live with a pack rat. Sometimes I feel like I'm just one more year away from being on a reality show about hoarders. 50 different collections of plates for in case the Queen of Sheba shows up. If you hate it so much, why do you stay? We covered this yesterday. There are times where I wish I could be a terrible, selfish human being. Or at least even more so of one. You say I don't think I'm terrible enough. Maybe that'll be my New Year's resolution. To be more selfish and terrible. His mental health went through the roof. I was like, boy, he's never been happier. Like, how happy are selfish people compared to the rest of us? I think selfish people have more depression than anybody. I think that when you genuinely have empathy and care and do things for other people, I think it makes you more depressed. People say, how could that be possible? Doing things for other people make you feel good. Yes. But it wears you out. Like I said, people are all too willing to take help. And then ask them to reciprocate, and they just like get all, oh, I didn't know I was expected to give something back. What kind of service is this? The kind where we don't want a guy to become a stump. I have had to learn to become a little bit more selfish. Learn to kind of understand why people do some of the things they do. I've had to ask myself the question before I asked anything else, what's in it for me? And I always felt guilty asking that question, so I never asked that question. I was like, it's like, I don't matter. I don't count. What I want is irrelevant. For the greater good. That's the blind rancher of the damned. For the greater good. Because you find out sometimes the greater good is just a bunch of aligned selfish interests, but it's still selfish. You know, the greater good is for America to get cheap oil. But that greater good at the cost of destabilizing other regions of the world. This history of mankind where people were talking about the greater good, but it caused them to exploit other people to achieve the greater good. I never realized that the Crusades never ended. They just kind of changed names and rebranded, but it's still here. I think if there was no oil in the Middle East, the Crusades finally would have died a justified death. At one point, the Crusades became neoliberalism. Yeah, and I'm throwing the term around, but as far as I understand it, neoliberalism is this belief it's a belief in spreading the American franchise either through force or persuasion. The idea about democracy, free markets, and even though they don't slip it in there, basically Christianity. What did the Spanish call it? Gold, God, and glory. I think it's supposed to be God, gold, and glory, but I always twisted it because I think it sounded more accurate when it came to the Spaniards. Gold, God, and then glory. And they repackaged that and they called it neoliberalism. The gold is the free markets. The God is either Judeo-Christian God or the idea of American exceptionalism and the American work ethos and all the other, whatever you want to call it, Protestant work ethic. We're going to export that. Then there's the glory. The media is showing people that are holding hands, wearing nice clothing, smiling and singing Kumbaya will be greeted as liberators. Oh, I went off on that tangent, didn't I? Yeah. Anyway. Henry Ford tried it with Fordlandia. Didn't work. It works for a minute, and then people start getting depressed about working all the time and being in this 24-hour go environment. And they start longing for a simple time, and then all of a sudden conservatism takes hold. And conservatism in different countries always seems to go back to a dangerous, retarded period. In America, it's like wanting to go back to the puritanical times. In the Middle East, it's about wanting to reestablish Islamic caliphates. In the East, it's about Confucianism, hierarchy, and reestablishing the caste systems. In all of these forms, it's always about the regression of women's liberation. Get back to being breeding furniture. But I could be running. I'm not running down here. I won't even be walking down here later. But yeah, I always spout my ideas of what I would think would make a better world, and I'm just parroting a lot of the stuff that I've been reading on newspapers and maybe recalculating it myself. And at the end of the day, man, it comes down to the individuals. reason why some of these systems work so great in Asian countries is because they're all about subduing the individual. But here, in order for all that stuff to work, the individual has to be highly educated and has to have just the right amount of empathy. And that becomes a tricky balance. Because as much as you want to educate somebody, the material only seems to take hold if the person has a choice or has choice and interest in what they're learning. I never took an ethics class in elementary or any of the primary school. I sit there and had to take one, forced to take one as the requirements of my degree plan. And I wish somebody had told me this earlier, because at least I know where I stand now. The social contract, utilitarianism, all that stuff. Sometimes I think the reason that we don't have ethics classes or logic classes in this country is because of the whole Judeo-Christian thing. Churches will teach people that stuff. Or the state wants to teach that kind of stuff, but church people are like, no, we don't want you teaching your values. We don't want you teaching them your values. We're going to teach them ours. None of that Socratic method stuff. No nihilism. No stoicism. Besides, we already got that kind of stuff in Christianity, right? Kind of do. You kind of wonder if Jesus Christ or whoever wrote the book, the New Testament books, was educated in ancient Greek philosophy. But you're not getting it from the source. You're getting it from a bastardized, politicized version from whoever decided to wrote with a slant, messianic slant. But I doubt myself constantly. I doubt systems constantly. All I've learned in the last few years or the last decade is how to properly doubt. I'm an educated doubter. I see how things don't work, and then I say, what would it take for these things to work? And if what it takes to make it work is like some kind of weird fascism or by the sword or by the gun, then, or ostracization of a certain group of people, then I'm like, well, maybe you guys need to recalculate that. Like, the sad thing is we haven't found something that everybody just wants to latch onto and make happen. You know, you got Gene Roddenberry, who kind of came out with this weird utopianism where we were going to be in the post-scarcity world. And there just seems to be a lot of higher powers that are fighting that from happening. I think what scares me is that all of our systems are being run by addicts. You have people who fought for these jobs, these jobs in government and heads of company, because they were addicted to money, power, or a little bit of both. And what do people learn about addicts is they don't care who they hurt to get their next fix. That's the flaw. So they keep coming out with a system. How do you dilute the drug? How do you take away the addictive properties? Or how do you keep addicts out of the system in the first place? That's a scary thought. It's not necessarily the most talented people or the best people for the job that get these things. It's the addict that's the most ambitious. Well, let me rephrase that. The addict who's the most ambitious and lucky. What is luck? Luck is the October surprise. Luck is Hillary Clinton having a fainting spell in front of a camera. Luck is Richard Nixon under hot lights without makeup. Or was he wearing makeup? I couldn't remember. They said he was pasty and sweaty. It's sad that's how stupid things got. It was just like, I'm not saying that Nixon was great or anything, but the only reason that the world some people or some theories are that the only reason that Kennedy became president was because that was one of the first campaigns that was televised. You've got this young, talented, or this young, tanned, confident man sitting up there on the TV. People said he was handsome. I'm sure that's debatable. After all, beauty is subjective. Is it? No. No, there is a scientific explanation for beauty. It's about symmetry. You look like you don't have any kind of defects. It's where I want to breed with you and have perfect children. There is a scientific basis to it, so it might not be as objective or subjective as people believe. But they say he was handsome. Maybe if I put his face in the grid, if people say, yep, he had symmetry. And he did produce beautiful offspring. Successful, not so much. But that's what it came down to. Here's this good-looking, confident young man versus this old, pasty, shaky bureaucrat. And so Nixon's strategy became, I know nobody wants to see my ugly old mug on TV, but I'm going to taint the other guy so much to where you don't want to see him either. And you wonder, somewhere in an alternate universe, did LBJ Stay out of Vietnam. Ran for a second term. Wiped the floor with Nixon. What does that civilization look like? Would the United States have stayed out of Vietnam? No. Well, that was one of the things that's one of the things that might, when somebody does an autopsy on America or American greatness, one of the symptoms of death might have been having militant anti-communists running the show. Like, instead of trying to work with that system or just ignore it or just protect themselves, you know, protect their own borders from it, going after it is what winds up taking out, you know, the country. What took out communism? Communism. Pure and simple. And all these wonks who sit there and try to take credit for it, you know, they're taking credit for the thing imploding on itself. If they did such a great job, why is it still in China, Vietnam, North Korea, parts of South America, and Europe? I never thought about it like that. It's like 3/4 of the world is still flourishing in communism. I was like, yeah. Now that you say it like that. If Nixon had been voted president in 1960, would it have been the 1970s type Nixon that extends a hand to communism, or would it have been like a Barry Goldwater type guy who just wants to eradicate communism by any means necessary, preferably with nuclear bombs? But this is the world I live in. This is the world that turned out. The one that allows me to run down rich neighborhoods at 9 o'clock at night, talking to myself while running up hills. Is it a great world? No, I don't think we'll ever know what greatness is. I don't even think we'll know what goodness is anymore. But what I know is okay. I would like better than okay, but okay's better than bad. Mostly. No, it's funny, I'm hungry, and yet I burp and I can taste last night's dinner. No, I'm gonna try it. It's crazy enough though. It might taste pretty good. Let's see what happens when you mix peanut butter with chicken soup. Is that Johnny Law? Didn't see him tonight, which means he was looking at me. What for? God only knows. Who knows what stupider thing I said or did this time. Randy Galloway called it a stupid problem. I got one. Yeah, I think that's why everyone says capitalism works. But it's not capitalism they're talking about, it's corporatism. Where the most selfish of us rule everything. We're so selfish that we'd be willing to work with people. We say work with people, but really just manipulate people into larger groups so that we could fulfill our own selfish goals and desires. But does free market capitalism by itself work? It's like all the other systems, it kind of works. Corporatism is what kills capitalism. We are a corporatist republic for now, not a capitalist democracy. People need to stop saying this is a democracy. No, it isn't. You can elect people who can speak for you, but for the most part you can't really say much. This is a corporatist republic. Is there socialism? I keep hearing that there is, but it's slowly starting to erode. You know, the programs of the New Deal, Square Deal, and Great Society are going away. If it wasn't for the fact that senior citizens vote, I think Medicaid and Social Security would have gone away too. Can you imagine? Lazy seniors, get off your ass and work. There ought to be a work requirement, so there's a work requirement to get senior aid. I'm laughing, but by the time I get to be that age, and since most of my generation doesn't vote, there might be some idiot that slips in there. We decided to slip a work requirement in there for the future generations because we can't really pay for Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare. I guess it's Medicare for the elderly and Medicaid for the children. Who would put it in place? Well, since everybody's ignoring Generation X, my guess is it'll be whoever the first millennial representatives that get voted in, because they'll be just as stupid as their boomer parents. And so I got the feeling that whatever, despite what the millennials say, when they get to be about in their 40s and 50s, they're going to be just as sorry as the boomers. Because what's the old cliche? The apple don't fall far from the tree. You know, they're going to outgrow. They're going to grow environmentalism, multiculturalism, socialism, all that, you know, fair play stuff. They're going to become jaded conservatives. Bible thumping, abortion hating, Jaded conservatives. Do I hate abortion? My whole problem is, so women go through menopause. Assholes everywhere. So women go through menopause. So what our medical science has come up with is to have them take estrogen to counteract that, you know, to lessen the effects. And the unintended side effect was estrogen in the drinking water kind of screwing up, well, not kind of screwing up, but screwing up multiple species, including humans. So now the water supply is tainted. Every time they do these things, every time they start monkeying with the system, they create some kind of weird havoc, the unintended consequence. That's my only gripe about abortion, is that you go monkeying with these systems, and what if one day you accidentally make everyone infertile? That's it. That's the only thing. Other than that, I can understand. I'm kind of forward in the fact that I would like it if kids weren't born. If you can't find an adequate mother, then just don't have the kid. And that's the big problem we have, is that you're sitting there talking about you want to make this stuff illegal. What are you going to do with all those unwanted kids? And then the conservatives sit there and counter the argument, saying there's no such thing as unwanted kids. And I was like, and then someone else counters, what about all the kids in the foster care system that are being abused? We wouldn't. And then they counter, well, it wouldn't be a problem if they would just ease the restrictions on who can take care of kids. And then the other side counters with, you mean like all those weird fundamentalist Christians that we find in the news that abuse the kids, or neglect the kids, or brainwash the kids? And that's where it stops. The argument just kind of fizzles out, or devolves into a shouting match. You can talk about all the loosening up all the requirements and everything else, they're still unwanted kids. Hundreds of thousands of unwanted kids. Even the ones that aren't in the system are in a household somewhere with a parent that couldn't care less about what happens to that kid. You get the Charlie Manson kids, whose mother would trade them for a six-pack of beer in a heartbeat. Who love to take time out every day to tell the kid just how worthless they are to them. I should have never had you. I didn't even want kids. Why are you here? You see, that's what abortion defenders can't, or abortion pro-lifers, or whatever they want to call themselves, but that's the thing that they can't seem to come to grips with. The delusion that you can't force people to be better parents. You can't force people to be parents, period. Nebraska tried to counteract, I think it was Nebraska, Kansas, one of those flyover states had that rule that said you can take your kids up to the fire station and dump them off there, no fault. And the fire department was getting so overwhelmed with these kids that they had to backtrack on it. They honestly did not expect that many people to be just turning in their kids. They thought, oh, this is a small problem. It's like, I bet they'll be too embarrassed to take their kids over to the fire station anyway, and by the time they give them away, they'll know that they love them and they'll take care of them. And this is how we justify coming out with the restrictive abortion laws. And it backfired. Sometimes I think what conservatism really suffers badly from is a case of the 7 Ps. I think it's the 7 Ps. Piss poor planning produces pitiful performance. It Everything they do just reeks of piss poor planning. On the other side of the board, liberals give people more credit than they should have. Like sometimes they believe in the goodness and the intelligence of people when the people have neither. Kind of a naive way of thinking. Like I said, the naivety is why Hillary Clinton lost the election. No one's going to vote for this guy. We're a much more progressive nation than this. You know, we've evolved. I was like, no, we really haven't. What we've done is we've kind of adapted to the media landscape. Everyone says what they think that the powers that be, or the, like they call them, the social justice warriors, they just say what they want them to hear. But privately, they're having Birch Society meetings and Klan meetings, and publicly they say they would marry or date anyone. Privately, they're settling for their race or their ethnicity. Just like publicly they say, sometimes to the other side, some publicly they say, I'm pro-life until my daughter gets knocked up by Raul. And suddenly you couldn't beat me to Mexico. Get my back alley abortions. My RU 486 or whatever the name of that, 468. I was like, people are going down to Mexico and buying, what do they call it? Aboro, I can't pronounce it. It starts with an AFO or something. Bottom line is it destroys the, it floods the system with estrogen or something like that, and then it causes the embryo to just cause the woman to abort the fetus. Now that's a pretty good light. That thing clocked me away from, let's see, that's about 40 yards away. It might be a bit too powerful. It's like, well, I was going to jack his car, but that means if you're in a car sitting back, you know, waiting for your partner to boost it, they might even catch you from way over there. Now, is the camera on there? Oh, it's probably just the light. That's why I can't figure out is everyone's arguing about Roe v. Wade. And I was like, Roe v. Wade is, it's one of those things that people think, you know, they have this big argument, the media sits there and says stuff, and then both sides are shouting at each other. And then it's just, it's an exercise in stupidity, because anybody with a tech brain, it's like the United States government filed to get Microsoft because they were putting Internet Explorer in their operating system. And then by the time the judgment came down, Microsoft was 2 operating systems ahead. So whatever the ruling was applying to, I think it was applying to Internet Explorer 3.01, we're up to 11 now, and Microsoft is still packaging its own browser with its operating system. In the meantime, it killed the competition. Now people give their browsers away for free. Succeeding despite the fact that everyone's thinking, yay, Microsoft got defeated. Right. And that's the whole thing about, yay, abortion is illegal. Right. Except in cases when you can get the pill, the morning after pill, the pill that, you know, aborts the fetus. Okay, clinics can't have administrative privileges, whatever. You know what's going to happen? Or what's already starting to happen, excuse me, because I was reading about it, is congratulations, you have just now flooded the market with black market pills. Black market abortion pills. Buy them on the dark web, buy them on the street corners. I got a guy who can hook you up. You're buying your pills from somebody in a trench coat. You don't know what's in those things. You don't care. You're just trying to get rid of the fetus. Won't that be funny? The DEA sitting there having to go after people dealing in black market anti-abortive fashions. I think that's the name of it. They don't have enough on their plate. Weed, because weed still is remember that weed is still illegal federally. They're still going into the West Coast and trying to bust that stuff up. Everybody's just looking at them like they're the world's biggest idiot. They still got a heroin epidemic to deal with, fentanyl, OxyContin, crystal meth, bath salts, ecstasy, cocaine, of course, that old standby. And anything else that I haven't named that's come down the pipe recently. Oh, I guess LSD. Although I wonder how much the DEA goes after people who are... I want to try acid at least once. That's on my bucket list. I'm going to try acid at least once in my lifetime. I just need to find somebody who can get me some. My biggest fear is I'd take that stuff and I'd be climbing off the walls or something. Next thing you know, they'd be out here. Hey, Wayman thought he could fly. But I mean, I seem to handle my drugs pretty well. I've gotten, not blackout drunk, but I have gotten drunk to the point where I couldn't sit in the chair. I fell out of a chair. I got high. I ate a whole plate of brownies. I thought I was just going to shrug it off in 8 hours because I was used to smoking from a bong, and it rarely lasts 8 hours. I'm used to smoking from a bong, going to sleep, smoking from a bong, staying high for about 8 to 10 hours, going to sleep, and then waking up and it's all gone. The edible I ate, man, that rocked my world. I ate that thing. I was sitting in the chair for 8 hours on Thanksgiving, just high as a kite. I said, well, I've read the same passage in this comic book about 5 times now. Or maybe I was reading Atlas Shrugged. And I was just reading, maybe it's just because it's Ayn Rand, I was reading it over and over and over again. And so I went to bed. Woke up the next day, and I was still high. I was like, okay. I was like, I got a problem here now. I said, I got 2 hours before I go to work. So I was running on this street, doing my 3-mile route, the Davila and all that other stuff. And I'm kind of wishing I could always run high. I felt no pain. There's nothing quite like running high. I was I know I was going super slow, but I was just bouncing. I had a stride going, nothing was getting to me. I ran out here with just reckless abandon. I was like, oh, I'm having fun here. Got back home, my buzz was wearing off right as I hit Marsh, where Lemmon turns into Marsh at the Northwest Highway intersection. I was going up the hill, and then my buzz started kind of wearing out. Got home and I said, well, time to eat some breakfast. Went to work, and took a shower, went to work and had no buzz. But that's pretty powerful stuff. So I don't know if I can run while high on LSD. Hey, wait, I think this car wants to talk to me. I'm running to the car and I'm hearing a honk. Everyone else is hearing the car honk at me. I'm hearing it talk to me. It's like, man, yeah, I dig it. I never thought of it that way. You're pretty cool, Lexus, model number or whatever, such and such. I don't know what they name their stupid cars. I just know I can't stand the people that drive them. You want to know right off the bat, like I said, you want to know what a red flag is, that somebody's got a personality disorder? They probably drive a Lexus. I say that a lot. I don't know if anybody, like I said, if I ever go for political office or become famous, these tapes are going to come back to haunt me. I know that. You hear what he said? Oh my God. I drive a Lexus, you jerk. I was like, and I'm sorry for the person that sold it to you. Or I'm sorry for society for having you out there. The person that sold it to him has an even bigger personality flaw. Lexus and Lexus drivers are an example of what I'm talking about when I say that. Corporatism is all about one group's selfishness feeding off one person starting a group to get stronger off of their selfishness. Hell, luxury cars in general. Just the fact that you could sell some idiot heated leather seats. I don't know, man. I'm just like, okay. I'm never gonna own a luxury car. Never gonna own a sports car. My current car has almost 100. It's 500 miles away from having 120,000 miles on it. And that means I'm gonna change my spark plugs when that happens. That's it. I was going to put CDs, and I was going to load my CDs back in the car, but I don't really drive that far to where I need to listen to music. All I do is scream at my windshield and then edit that stuff out. All the racist stuff I'm saying, all the foul language, all the shouting. All you hear is silence. There's a funny game. Just imagine what I'm saying when some guy cuts me off, or the people make an unsafe lane merge, or I see the most raggedy car in the world driving about 30 miles an hour down a one-way street, or down a two-lane road. I'm a pessimist whose base philosophy is hell is other people. And I have discovered nihilism, and that's what helped me get out of my depression. I was depressed last year, 2 years ago, I can't even remember now, but the bottom line is I was depressed a few years back. Wanting to end it all. And then I discovered nihilism. I kept trying to apply meaning to life. And the grand question becomes, but why? Why does life have to have any meaning? And I was like, well, because this, because that. And I just sounded like a gibbering idiot. And I was like, or even more so than of a gibbering idiot. And I said, I might as well be the gibbering idiot that doesn't really believe that life has to have any meaning versus the gibbering idiot that thinks he does. And suddenly I just let a whole lot more things go. I was like, you know what? I'm griping about this, but it doesn't matter. I stopped voting. I just stopped giving a shit in general. I was like, there's no grand scheme, no grand purpose, nothing. Just enjoy life while you can, and then one day it'll be over. Before I was griping there's no future. Now I'm thinking, why does there have to be? Why does it matter? Oh, it's absurd to think that all of this has a purpose or meaning. Is it really absurd? Not really, but making it absurd kind of gives you a sense of humor, which helps you deal with it. Now I realize that I'm not addicted to power or money, so this world's never going to make that much sense to me. I'm always going to be scratching my head wondering. My dream is not to have all the money in the world or anything like that. My dream is to have enough money to where if there's something I want, I just go get it without too much of a hassle. Sitting there trying to barter and haggle. Some guy tells me it costs $20,000 for a model bathroom. I just be like, or I don't even hear the $20,000 part. I just hear, we're a good company and blah, 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 blah. They give me the spiel. I say, fine, start working on my house. And they're like, you do realize that we're going to do this for $30,000. I was like, whatever. Just get it done. I decide my house is getting a little long in the tooth. I tear it down and I build a new one. Or, if I just said, I wonder what it would feel like to live in a gated community, I just go live in a gated community. To have that much money to where it's just like, you know what, on a whim, I just wanted to try this out. And you do it. There's a cool thing that happens in video games after a while, especially RPGs, because RPGs have the financial element in them. You got to earn gold pieces to buy the best armor and get spells and upgrades and pay for ends and stuff like that. And there's a certain point where you're level grinding so much that you have so much gold that you'll never spend it all in the game. You're just awash with gold. And I kind of wish that real life was like that. It was just like you just keep working at it, and eventually you have enough gold points and everything else is so ridiculously cheap that you'll never spend all the gold points you have in the game. You just have a surplus of gold points. You're defeating monster for experience at that point. I'm not working at a job because I need the money. I'm working at a job because I genuinely want the experience. I'm trying to max out my stat sheets in real life. And this world doesn't let you do that. I can't max out my stat sheet because the roof is leaking and I only have so many gold pieces. No matter what monsters I slay, no matter how many times I level grind, I get paid the same amount of gold pieces. And then the prices in the game of stuff, you know that mithril armor you wanted? Well, the mithril armor that was 10,000 gold pieces that you were saving up for is now 50,000 gold pieces. Oh. And so you're level grinding and you'll never catch up because by the time you get enough gold pieces, the price keeps changing. You don't want to stay in the inn in the monster village where you only get half your gold pieces back. I mean, you only get half your health points back. Well, you can't afford to stay at the inn in a nice place because it requires more gold pieces than you'll ever get. Even being homeless in an RPG is a whole lot better than being homeless. It's like your adventure just runs around. You just assume he has a tent. He's running low on stuff. He'll just sleep out in the woods, you know, jolly as hell. Or he can just consume potions that'll give him his health back. I don't think there's a job here yet that pays you in health potions. Maybe, I guess if you work at a health club, you may have one protein shake per day. That's kind of a health potion. Energy drinks and protein shakes. Yeah, that's. In real life, though, you can't take those forever because eventually you're going to have to rest. You know, some RPGs, your people actually don't have to stay in inns all the time. They actually do live somewhere. That's where they start buying guild halls. Yeah, I can't max out my stat sheets because the roof's leaking in my guild hall. Can't max out my skill sheets because I can't get the mithril armor that would allow me to go on this other quest. Some other adventure bought up all the mithril armor and is now charging people an insane amount of gold pieces for it. At night I think of you. I want to be your lady, baby. If the game is wrong. I never thought that song was all that great to begin with, but somebody remixed it. I was like, okay. And yet I'm the one who gets the copyright warning. At night I think of you. There's always some asshole in a loud car. That's that Cummins turbine engine. The damn thing they put in tanks. That thing doesn't burn fuel, it just pours it out of the back pipe. What kind of mammal was that? Squirrel? I never see squirrels at night. I don't think they're nocturnal. Nocturnal echolocating mammal man. What did I say? Flying nocturnal echolocating mammal man. The guy from Mythbusters. For some stupid reason they couldn't say the word Batman because of legal reasons. That's the other. Can you imagine, like, RPGs in real life? I was like, well, we would give you access to that spell, but for you to see it violates a copyright warning, or copyright notice. Yeah, fuck that stop sign. Oh man. Woo. But he could say Batman. You had to say flying echolocating mammal man. I'm like, okay. And then what's the other one? But yeah, we give you access to that spell, except the copyright holder doesn't want to sell it or make it available to the public. So you need Meteor to defeat the jewel, but you can't get it because it's held up in litigation. Of Corporatist Quest. The RPG you can't complete. So what now? I don't know. At this point, you kind of wonder if Sephiroth, if real life was like an RPG, I'd be rooting for Sephiroth. I'd be rooting for Sephiroth. What's the name of the guy in Davros? Lavos from Chrono Trigger. Go ahead and let the turtle destroy everything. Let the time-traveling turtle destroy everything. Like, has anyone ever written a story where a guy was supposed to save the universe, and then he thought back on it and says, maybe the universe is not worth saving, and he lets the bad guy win? Dark side can have the anti-life equation, although that's not an RPG. But then I ran into a flaw about the reboot scenario. What if we reboot? The problem with rebooting is that you don't learn from your mistake the last time. So if you made a mistake, you won't know about it. It's just boop, reboot, start over. And you might be making the same mistakes over and over and over again. So, that's where you start questioning reality. Like, what if this has all happened before? This might be, for all I know, this could be the billionth iteration of our universe. 999,900,000 blah 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 0.99 something times before. We've gone through this, and the result's always been the same. And the poor bastards that created the universe, they're like, but I want them to get smart enough to start coming out with the space drive so they can start exploring the rest of the universe. Well, they never make it that far. They just kill themselves out. And it's probably not just us. We fuck up, then the cockroach people show up, they fuck up. And then the amoeba species shows up, they fuck up. All the people that survived the destruction of the previous civilization, the new species comes up and it keeps making the same mistakes. Or I don't know. Maybe, like I said, this is the billionth time the gods have played this game. And the result's just always different. In one iteration, we made it. In one iteration, we became a level 6 civilization. And have spawned many sequels, or we became the gods. Or we joined the gods. You know, it wasn't just this solar system, it wasn't just this galaxy. It was multiple galaxies, multiple universes, and we figured it out, and it was kind of cool, and it's gone through multiple sequels. But on this run, we have enough data now to where we can kind of predict what's going to happen with certain civilizations, and they just let it run this course. Based on the level of progress you guys are at now, with the problems you have, we can safely predict that you guys just aren't going to make it. And so the gods give up on those worlds, and people are sitting there praying to air. The gods said, yeah, we gave up on those people a long time ago. It either works out or it doesn't. In this iteration, it didn't. So you let it run its course, and then when that universe destroys itself, we reboot another one in its place. Or we just wait until the cockroach people have their turn. Now that's where your religious nuts come in. You'd like to believe that the gods sit there and they look at some of the universe and say, well, you know, that guy's worth saving. Let's put him in another universe. Or let's give him a place amongst the pantheon. Well, there's a lot of assholes out here.